Greetings to all my beautiful Dominica family and friends. Cabral Douglas here, attorney at law, currently practicing in New South Wales, Australia. I just wanted to give my legal opinion on the elections in Dominica. And the first and foremost point I want to make is that Sir Dennis Byron needs to resign his position as sole Electoral Reform Commissioner immediately.
Hand clap to the massive, guys. We are definitely back again for the very second reaction of this Mystelics reaction, guys. The first one will be in the first comment in the comment box below. So with that said, guys, definitely check it out right there. And with that said, guys, big up the Mystelics YouTube family for definitely tuning into another reaction video, and of course the newcomers of the BOBOL yourself as well for definitely tuning in to this one in this regard right there. Don't forget, guys, to give this video a thumbs up. Click the thumbs up button, brothers and sisters. Click the thumbs up button, and of course, for the newcomers out there, don't forget to subscribe and turn on that post notification by clicking the subscribe button, then click the bell, and then click all, and you'll be pretty much notified when I drop my videos right there. And then, guys, we have to talk about this thing, but there's something rather interesting taking place in Dominica that was just sent to me, and this is it right there, brothers and sisters. Melissa was doing a number of things in Rosewood for the boxing scenario that you have seen there, guys. You see, they use the fake flag. They're using the fake flag. You see, it's the fake flag. They're back again, but they say AMBC. I don't know what that means, but I guess it's maybe boxing champion. I don't know what the AM is, but Caribbean boxing, brothers and sisters. Melissa organized that vibrations, and I was told throughout the night, I think it started on Tuesday, there was record-breaking turnout, meaning there was record-breaking nobody turning up at the stadium for an international thing. And it seems like they removed the international thing there and put the AMBC right there, guys. Caribbean boxing. So there was international. I guess it removed they removed the international right there. However, I must put this out there for individuals who probably want to see and check in. Boy, $25 is too much. Well, apparently there's breaking news going out there from Dominica Olympic Committee stating the Dominica Boxing Association is pleased to announce that the entrance fee on Saturday, they actually took a break today, guys, but of course on Saturday 17th December, final night of the match, will definitely be for $5 at the Shillingford stand. I guess they named that stand after the cricketer Shane Shillingford, I'm guessing. Yes, brothers and sisters, $5 for the Shillingford stand right there. Yes, only $5 gets you in. Come out to support the boxers as they compete for the ultimate prize. What exactly is the ultimate prize, guys? I have no idea, but you're talking about some sort of ultimate prize in this regard. So breaking news, DBS brought it forth too, Dominica Olympic Committee, but as solely as a result of nobody showing up. There's very little. I remember the first one I saw when I posted for you guys, there was not much people there. There was about, what, 20 people, and the rest were ministers. All the people at the back you saw were ministers or invited individuals from these very ministers themselves who came to the boxing arena. And it doesn't seem like the ministers kept coming, because we heard, well, I was told that it didn't go up, the people coming in, the audience coming in didn't go up at all. So I guess people checking, well, you give us all call out, you think we're going to give you back some of the call out you give us? No, sir, you must be the devil's advocate if you think that is going to be the case right there. No, no, no. So people checking, they're not showing up at all. But this time, they still want some of that money, man. $5 they bring in the final night, you know, Mark you. The final night wouldn't have the hypeest night. Wouldn't that be the most expensive night? No, they brought down the price because people were not showing up at all to the boxing match. Like I said before, and not just me, a number of persons also noticed this, stating that this was poorly advertised. Even though they were broadcasting it on DBS. I mean, who you expect to what? Who you think watching DBS or listening to DBS? Huh? Who do you think is watching or listening to DBS? Who? The older folks, and so the older folks checking my spleen hurting me. Let me stab my mother home. Well, not at their mother home, but they will stab their home. Or whatever it is, guys. So they brought down the price to $5. I guess they thought that people were going to be rushing and want to come, but I guess if you want to go check that out right there, it's in the stadium, guys. Today is a break, and of course they will be back at it on Saturday for $5. Not $5 for kids, you know, just $5. Come in. Anyways, guys, let's get into the vibrations, for which I must make mention of this reaction I have to do on Cabral Douglas, a lawyer, or Rose. He's related to Rosie and Michael Douglas as well. Let's take a listen to what he has to say. By the way, guys, Ian Douglas is also a lawyer. I found this out this year. That's crazy. Anyways,
The first and foremost point I want to make is that Sir Dennis Byron needs to resign his position
Why?
as sole Electoral Reform Commissioner immediately. His resignation is a matter of legality. It's also a matter of morality. And it's also a matter of recusing himself, as would be the case during normal legal proceedings.
But it doesn't seem like the opposition had any problem with him coming in. But I guess maybe the opposition didn't want to say anything about it in that regard. I'm not sure exactly why. Why would he need to think, especially an individual that pretty much knows the laws across the Caribbean? If he's not doing anything illegal, I don't think he'd want to be a part of it. Or maybe it's the money that is speaking right there. When the money is speaking, you get 450,000 and an additional 200K. I think that's that will make you wanna think. But this lawyer is saying he doesn't think that Dennis BYRON should be doing this, continuing that thing for whatever reason. I mean, hopefully we'll find out there. Let's continue.
In a case of a conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest.
Now, I want to first of all demystify the Sir Dennis BYRON individual jurist. Sir Dennis's tenure as president of the CCJ was a disaster. Objectively, a disaster. It was not successful. In 2014, at the time that Dominica joined the court had all types of difficulties. Former registrar of the court resigned or he was dismissed. And this is what he had to say. I'm talking about Dr. Lighton Jackson, who is a lecturer at the University of the West Indies Law School. He said that based on the incidents of mismanagement, arbitrariness, and judicial misconduct, I think the current structure of the court is incomplete and insufficient for me to be satisfied that it is the sort of institution that I would recommend our country go into. He goes further to say that this type of practice, this type of protocol, impacts on judicial independence, the balance of power, and the regulatory accountability at the Caribbean Court of Justice.
So we come back to an individual on the basis of accountability yet again. The very person, the Prime Minister himself, was the one who selected this individual. Was there a talk? Was there an agreement? This is one of the things I always ask myself when it comes on to decisions that are made in Dominica, guys. Who exactly is the one who pinpoints who does what? And on which backing is that decision from? Is there some sort of collective of individuals that then come in and say, okay, guys, I think this one is, this person is good or that person is good? Or is there a collective of individuals and a number of persons, the committee of the government, so to speak, then alongside the opposition, then say, okay, we need this individual based off the track record that the individual has to then say, okay, this person is the right person to do this. But yet still, right now, we are coming back again to the accountability factor of Mr. Sir Dennis BYRON. And a number of persons were saying that very situation, because it was SKERRIT that chose this individual, that situation would have already been compromised. And a number of persons were also stating in this regard that, hey, Dennis was actually working with SKERRIT on that basis and then made it seem as if, electoral reform was going to happen. And for some strange reason, I can't tell you exactly what led up to the situation that we are in, but I think you have to select individuals. That person must be vetted. That person must be vetted properly. True or false? I could be wrong. Let me know. I could be wrong. Let's go.
This is a direct attack on the institution that Sir Dennis presided over in 2014 at the time that Dominica joined the court.
And then again, we didn't really know anything about Dennis BYRON. I don't know if you guys knew about him. I personally didn't know about him. But on the basis of him becoming, Dominica's electoral reform, individual or the person in charge of electoral reform by putting up drafts and stuff. That's how I ended up getting to know about this guy. Did you guys know about him? If you did, let me know that in the comment box below as well, guys.
It's also important to note that it was around this time that former Barbados President Ferdinand Stewart referred to the court and its justices as politicians with robes, taking direct aim at Sir Dennis and the fraternity of judges that made up the bench at the time. And those comments were in a relation to an election petition which is relevant here because we're talking about the sole electoral commissioner in Dominica.
No, guys, I'm not gonna lie. On the basis that I saw Cabral coming into the picture, I was like, what is Cabral gonna be saying, man? What exactly is gonna be saying? But what he's saying makes sense. If on the basis we're trying to do something in our electoral office or electoral commission, we're trying to change the laws and whatnot, but there's a previous, this is why you have to vet people, you know, guys. And I'm not sure if what he's saying is correct, but based on what he's saying there, based on what he's adding up, if he has a previous incident in this regard, we have to ask ourselves a question, guys. We have to ask ourselves a question on the basis of what exactly is taking place and the precedence for which what happened back then. If something bad then happened on the same basis that we're trying to push for having free and fair elections, then that seems like he's compromised based on what Cabral is saying. What are your thoughts? Do you think that is the case? Do you know any background information on that, guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comment box below.
Which brings me to my next point. The Constitution of Dominica doesn't make any provision for a sole electoral commissioner. It makes provision for an electoral commission, but
so that's a collective of individuals then.
But it makes no provision.
That would make sense too. So if you have one individual stating the basis, then but then again you'll have to have the agreement of different individuals. However, if you have a collective of individuals reviewing and contrasting and whatnot, and then they pitching it to the commission, electoral commission office in Dominica, and then the opposition gets to see these things as well. The government side gets to see this, you know, and then they weigh in on that. I think there will be a much better look instead of one person doing it. But of course, that person has his accolades apparently. But well, the accolades might not be a good thing. But the big question here is who is vetting in, or who is properly vetting these individuals? Is the Prime Minister the only one vetting the individual, or are there a group of individuals who vetted Sir Dennis BYRON to come and do electoral reform? Because on my basis, I heard the Prime Minister saying 100 days after the 2019 election, he's going to be looking into getting somebody to do the electoral reform. And then that happened, and then the moment of electoral reform being put into place where the draft was going to be sent in the first phase, then the Prime Minister calls election before electoral reform takes place. But what a conundrum we living in there. What a conundrum that there we got, sir.
For a sole electoral commissioner. So one has to question what is the relationship and what is the arrangements that were put in place between Roosevelt SKERRIT.
So it was one man who apparently selected the Dennis BYRON guy.
And Sir Dennis, and whether Sir Dennis is complicit in undermining free and fair elections in Dominica.
You cannot say what the man is saying isn't accurate. You cannot say what the man is saying doesn't have some weight. You cannot say that. But guys, when it comes to Cabral, I myself have my own side, but we're looking at what he's saying there. Does it make sense or does it not make any sense at all? Based on what he's saying there, guys, it makes some sense. What are your thoughts, man? Leave your thoughts in the comment box below, guys. Let's continue.
So, I say all of this to say that the court, the very CCJ that Sir Dennis presided over, made a decision. And although it was obiter dictum, which means that it didn't directly address the questions before the court.
Yeah. It was nothing about what was presented to the court. It was only on the legitimacy of the High Court ruling. And because the High Court did not rule it throughout the case, then they knew that appealing it in the CCJ would not have any grounds. Whoever that did this was, I think that was genius done by the Prime Minister them. Whoever that was the instructor. I think it was probably Tony Astafans who made this. They can petition, we threw it out, they can petition to another court, but if the court itself did not make a decision, then petition and appeal to the CCJ would not make any difference because there was no ruling to appeal to. Whether it's for or against the appeal, there was no decision there, so they could not do anything. So he's right.
Here's what the court gave as an opinion on the question of electoral reform in Dominica.
And on the basis of that, guys, keep in mind that the courts, when they reviewed the documents, the CCJ, when they reviewed the documents, they realized that elections in Dominica is tainted. The election process is tainted. This is why they say next elections, they give an opinion, but of course they give an opinion not on the things that they had jurisdiction over, since there was no decision made by the High Court or the court before. Interesting stuff.
And it appears on paragraph 108 of that petition. The court says, however, there remain grave area of concern about how the process of these elections were conducted, future elections in Dominica ought not proceed with these or similar taints.
So that tells you exactly what I'm saying, guys. Exactly what I'm saying. Only they couldn't rule as a result of there not being any decision before. They then most likely went through what was presented to them and saw that there are dangerous taints in the elections that prevent free and fair elections. It's simple.
Unquote. So in other words, Sir Dennis Byron's appointment is to ensure that the taints are ameliorated through legislative reform to pave the way for
free and fair
elections. Mm-hmm. So that's his mandate from the people of Dominica, right? The fact that elections were called prior to him having the opportunity to exercise that mandate.
That is a good question. Let's continue.
Puts Sir Dennis in a conflict of interest, which necessitates his immediate resignation from the post.
But the big question here is, was Dennis Byron a facilitator to what was happening with SKERRIT? Because I remember Dennis wrote, the Prime Minister stated that he did not see. It's an guys, it's mind-blowing if you have to fully understand this thing. Dennis them sent the letter for the first draft, phase 1, to take place November 6th. Right? They sent that out, the opposition got it. SKERRIT said he didn't get it until December 1st. Who would believe that? So you mean to tell me the Prime Minister who called Dennis Byron to come and do the electoral reform for Dominica, then presents it, and all of a sudden, within the same channel, mark you, the same channels that they were sending back and forth, their correspondings, the Prime Minister is saying he did not get that information until December 1st. Even though, mark you, even though that this was all over social media. I know I brought it out, I must have brought it out on November 7th. Or November 8th, one of them, because I got the letter too, and then I presented some of the draft that was sent in on MITC, Mass in the Cemetery. They brought out some of the draft that were there. So if we brought that and I was on social media and SKERRIT is saying that he did not see it, and then he's writing a letter to Dennis Byron December 1st saying that he did not see it, December 2nd, Dennis Byron is writing back and stated, well, I sent this out there, yes, but hopefully we can communicate further and further on this regard to that we can get free and fair elections. And on the basis of that, guys, was it an accomplice to make it seem like, okay, you got... But I don't understand though. If you're sending it through the normal channels, this is what this is what would make me lean more to what Cabral is saying on the basis of Dennis Byron being compromised. Because if the Prime Minister is telling you December 1st is when he got the letter, but you sent the letter within the same channels that was sent, your December 2nd letter was sent, and the Prime Minister did get it, how then did the Prime Minister then say it's only on December 1st he got it when the opposition got it on November 6th? Then that same day, the Prime Minister called elections. So it's either the Prime Minister is lying about that, either Dennis Byron is an accomplice to then agree with the Prime Minister, who then states that he found the letter December 1st. That's when he agreed that they should have stated that he saw it. So it would have been too late for them to withdraw and say, okay, let's do this and whatnot, let's do the electoral reform. Because if you send letter November 6th for the opposition and December 1st the Prime Minister getting that same letter, I mean something wrong there within the same communications. So if on that, Dennis Byron might have been a part of that very system right there. But on the basis of looking at it from a realistic point of view, why would then Dennis Byron send out a letter on November 7th for the beginning of electoral reform? And then all of a sudden, bow, it comes up in your face. As if, you did something to initiate that process. In terms of the elections. Because that doesn't make any sense to me, because you sent out the letter for electoral reform. Why then would you be an accomplice to be, for elections to take place and then make it look like, oh, you did not see it and then the whole thing has to restart? Or was it restarted? I don't know. Anyways, I see my camera running out of space. Let's continue.
You cannot be a former Chief Justice, former President of the Court, and deviating from the opinion of the court. You cannot be a former president of the court.
But it still wasn't him. It still wasn't Dennis Byron who called the elections. At the end of the day, you have to look at it that way. I understand if he was an accomplice from what you are saying. If he was an accomplice of saying, okay, let me send a letter and then, okay, you can state for number 5 and then reply me on December 1st and say you didn't see the letter, which doesn't make much sense to me. If you're an accomplice in this regard, then sure. But Dennis Byron at the end of the day was not the one who called elections. It was the Prime Minister.
And not be prepared to comment on the legitimacy of the election that took place without electoral reform, which you were appointed to bring about.
Well, he did say that he did not know anything about elections. That's what he said. Obviously, if you're an accomplice, you're trying to cover all tracks. But like I said before, it doesn't make sense for Dennis Byron to be the one to associate and then write letter and then bow. All of a sudden, they call elections. The only thing that makes sense to me if they were trying to reset the whole system, but it seems like it went forward. Because I've heard the opposition them saying that they're trying to make things go forward or moving forward with electoral reform. So it's a confusing time, man.
You cannot be given the mandate from the people of Dominica to address what the...
But you're talking about the people of Dominica giving a mandate. I think the people of Dominica were the one who paid him, but it was SKERRIT who got him. But then again, you can say SKERRIT is a representative of the people. But who did SKERRIT talk to say, okay, that person is the right person? This is why I mentioned this earlier on, you know.
Court refers to as taints in the electoral process and allow election to take place without addressing those taints and not be associated with those taints. So it's either you're associated with the taints, you're part and parcel of the taints, or
maybe,
or you disassociate yourself from those taints. That is what I mean by Sir Dennis finds himself in a conflict of interest, which makes his position going forward untenable. This is why it is clear that the way forward in this political constitutional quagmire is for Sir Dennis Byron, if he has 1 ounce of integrity in his body, to tender his immediate resignation. If he's not prepared to do that, in the same way that a justice would, a Supreme Court justice or any judicial judge
would. But I understand what you're saying there. If he is part and parcel with the very thing, to then make SKERRIT say, okay, no, say no, you did not get the letter. Reply me December 1st or whenever. So it'll be too late that you can think, too late to withdraw the elections. But then again, like I said before, it's still not Dennis Byron that called elections. So how then is he tainted? If he was part and parcel, which we cannot prove, then on the basis of SKERRIT calling elections and then SKERRIT saying that he didn't get the letter, it seems like more on the side of SKERRIT being the one who's responsible for the FUPA. Because you cannot tell me a country going through a natural disaster that probably mash up Decali, the east of Dominica, and on that same day, you call in elections even after mentioning what took place, because and that means you knew what took place on the east. So that doesn't make the level to me weighs on SKERRIT, not on Dennis. Or maybe it's just me that not understanding what exactly he's saying. Maybe, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment box below, guys. Give this video a thumbs up if you understand it. If you want to see more, definitely subscribe and turn on that post notification, guys. Don't forget to check out the previous reaction of this year, today's reaction in the first comment in the comment box below, guys. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on that post notification so you'll be notified when I drop my videos right there. And I will see you guys in the next reaction video. My ping on 0. Anyways, guys, boom bang.